Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode of the Bridge Protocol. Today we're going to go over some hip activation and sequences that are going to help you pre-workouts. Primarily today, like today's program, we have 10 rep max back squat. So if we have days where there's lots of squatting out of the rack, off the floor, anything like that, for those of you who really struggle with feeling like pre-workout that you're really actually loosened up, this is going to help with some stuff that's going to be relatively easy to do and not too much of that static stretching but more activation. So well, a lot of times people kind of overdo the static stretching and the mashing. We're actually going to focus more on activation, which will help with better control of musculature and ability through the squat movement. So I'm going to take you through a couple. First one is going to be the hurdle step. Now I have this set up relatively low. A little bit because I'm really tight from 16.5, so I can't do the full, but basically what you're going to want to do with this is super easy. All you're going to need is a PVC pipe and a squat rack, and the goal is actually to try to have the PVC pipe about as high as our hip flexors, or kind of about a couple inches below our belt line. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to focus on standing close to the PVC pipe and pulling with the flat foot and dragging ourselves over, all right? Up and over. If you need to grab the knee, but what this is going to allow us to do is start to force our hip flexors to pull and our abductors to pull and start to fire to get us kind of warmed up for that squatting. Right. You're going to want to do about a couple rounds of sets to 20 or 30 of those, and if you start to get loose and feel like the lower height is getting easier, you can start to increase that height a little bit. But the main goal is to be able to pull up with the high knee and then step up and over, kind of open yourself up and over the pipe. Right from there. So this one is a really good one to start, and this one is also going to be a really good kind of little mind game, help get your brain warmed up for firing and activating the right things. And you can also, there's other ways you can do it too. You can practice stepping up and forward over as well, and you can also step from here and then kind of turn and come over. So again, come in here and you can turn straight up, or from the back, kind of turning and stepping as you come over, which is going to help kind of with that full, if we think about then a squat, when we go to squat down, right, we're not driving here like this, but we're pulling from the hip flexors and driving the knees out to come down in the squat. So that's going to help a little bit with there. From there, we're going to have a little bit of the banded hip push and pull. Now, this one is going to be super relative to a lot of flexibility and activation. So if you're someone that struggles a little bit with high glute activation, and what I mean by that is you feel like a lot of times that getting up through your glutes and then to your hip flexors here just isn't work for you. This is going to be one that you might want to start off with a little bit of a lighter band. Otherwise, if you're have stronger hips, we can go with a little bit of a thicker band. From here, super easy. We're going to have that band kind of just above like the meaty part of our butt cheek, and we're going to step away. We're going to let the band kind of pull our hip in and relax. And from here, we squeeze the butt and pull the hip, and you're going to feel that if it's setting up properly and you have good activation, you're going to feel it a little bit through your butt, but more or less you're going to feel it through the inside of your adductors down into your quads. So again, relaxing the hip and then squeezing the butt, right? And then, so that's going to be pulling, and then from here we can go down to a single leg. We're going to come up high in the hip, and we're going to relax from here. Then we're going to push through. Now, if you're someone who's a little bit stronger through the squat and the deadlift, the small band's probably not going to do much for you. So that's why you can double up or use the bigger bands. From here, letting your hip get loose back, and then pulling from the butt cheek, squeezing forward. So you're going to pull from the hip flexors and your butt. You're relaxing and squeezing forward. And kind of like the PVC pipe, you're going to do about maybe sets of 20 to 30 on each side. So completely relaxing and then flexion. So relax, flex coming through, and you're going to do that on both sides. Last one here is going to be the banded, or the second to last one here is going to be a little bit of the bandy hip flex and thrust. Now this one, I understand the band's not even right now. I didn't take the time to set it up properly, but you're going to want to set the band up so that as I come down into my knees, I can kind of seatbelt my hip kind of down in here, and I'm going to sit back. Now, some of you, I know this is a really tight position through your quads, so if you need to widen your stance a little bit, you can. Right, from here, I'm going to sit back onto my butt, and I'm going to flex and drive my hips through. Sit, flex. Driving the hip through. Driving the butt back. Again, sitting all the way down. If you need to go to a little bit of a wider stance, you can from here. And then driving, squeezing the butt through. You're going to feel that through your hip flexors and also through the top of your glutes, through your glute med a lot. So here, driving through, holding that for a couple seconds at the top. So that's going to be like the hip flex and thrust. The last one we're going to do with the larger band here is going to be the knee drive and the knee push. So again, you can kind of hitch this onto a rig wherever, and there's going to be a couple different variations I'm going to show you of this that's going to be useful for you. And this is really, for those of you who are really tight through your groin area or through underneath, this is going to be one that's going to be probably feel a little bit tight and tender, but benefit you the most. So we can either do it two ways. We can do a standing variation where we're kind of sitting down in almost like a sumo squat stance, and we're pulling, holding for a couple seconds, and letting it come drag back out. And each time I let that knee drive out, I want to think about relaxing and letting the knee open a little bit more. And you can keep the toes turned out. Think about driving your toes through the front of your shoe. From here, let it get pulled and pulling it in for like a 5 count, and letting it get pulled back out even more. From there, you can do a little bit of a knee push, so we could just basically turn the other way. And from here, kind of same idea. Now the knee's getting pulled in from the bend. Now I'm driving out. Pulling for a little bit of push, so drive in, driving the knee out. So that's going to be the knee push and pull from a standing position. If you want to go to a kneeling position or a lunge position, and this is especially for those of you who are tight to the groin, is where you're going to feel a lot more of that stretch. But from here, I'm going to let the band get pulled down below my knee and sink myself down and relax. And from here, the band's pulling my knee in, and I'm going to drag it in, hold it, let it get drug out. Pull it in, let it get drug out. The same thing here, we can step round through to the other side, and now the knee is getting driven in. Same thing, coming back into that lunge position. We're coming into the outside here. And from here, my knee's going to get pulled in, and I'm going to drive and push the knee out. So you can see here, letting my knee get pulled in, and driving and pushing out. Drive and push it out. And then drive and push it out. So, all these things that I showed you guys today, you're going to want to do sets of like 20 to 30 of. And I would say you could almost kind of do like a circuit style setup where starting with 20 or 30 reps of the hurdles, then moving on to the next one, and then to the next one, and coming through and doing like 2 or 3 rounds of that. So if you want to look at our sheet real quick, for the hip opening protocol, this is what we have for the activation. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and we'll see you guys next time on the bridge protocol.